Hello fellow Hunters of the Blue, and welcome to my channel, and also welcome to another review. As with every month, each month I get one mini submitted from all of my patrons and channel members, tiers many times or above, and I review them and give them feedback. This is my way to give them something back, because as you know, I don't have any content behind paywalls. I don't have any blocked or restricted content, so this is the only way I have to give something back to the people that make all this possible. So you want to take part and get your mini reviewed, sign up for my Patreon or become a channel member of the tier many times or above, as I said, and you will be able to submit one mini a month, one picture a month, and I will be reviewing them. And for this month we have an exception, because well, last month there was a slight confusion. I forgot one person was going to submit something and he forgot to do it the proper way, so everything got mixed up and I forgot to review one mini. So we will have two submissions from one member today, because well, that's the only fair thing to do. And apart from that, as the channel news, I will be submitting, this is the Maugan Ra video, which will be up next week. I'm finishing him now. Hopefully we'll finish the mini tomorrow, probably Monday, and once that is done I will be editing the video and will be ready for next week. I'm also preparing a couple of short videos, one on replicating the glazes using modern contrast paints, basically, and modern shades, and caveats on that. And I'm also preparing a video on how to use the more intense contrast paints, the more single pigment, very intense paints that don't give a lot of contrast, but they are very useful in maybe more creative ways than just base coating. So with that out of the way, just remembering you that I won't be able to read your comments while I'm doing the review, because I only have one monitor, and that's pretty difficult. Also remember that if the light goes off, which is a possibility, we're having some electrical issues on the building. If the light goes off, I will be returning as soon as possible. So and the review will be continuing until I finish. So if the light goes off and the stream stops, please stay put, grab a cup of tea, whatever you want, and I will be back as soon as possible. With all of that out of the way, I think it's time to start the review proper. And we are going to start with our forgotten submission from the past month. This is from Mark, and also I've changed the display so you can see the Photoshop tools. Please let me know if you like that. I'm not sure if people are going to like it, but if you do like it, please let me know. What are you doing? Please let me know so I can I can maintain this sort of layout. I think it would be useful for all of you, because maybe you don't you can see what I'm doing if you want to try that on your minis or yourself, whatever you want to do. So we're going to start with Mark and this She-Hulk mini that he painted, which I really like. Very nice colors. The only thing that I'm missing, very nice touch with the hair being slightly different than the skin. The classic white and purple bodysuit is just very well executed, and we're going to see what we can do. The only issue I have is we don't have many. The skin looks a bit flat in terms of color, so we're going to try and solve that. Let me just grab this is probably here. There you go. This is the highlight color for the skin, and what I'm going to do is shift it to a bit more of a yellow. So I'm going to highlight, just mix a little bit of yellow onto the color scheme, basically. Maybe something like that. Just because yellow adds a lot of light, and when you are painting a skin that is under the sun, you want that yellow on the highlights just so it's more natural. You grab my brush, and now you can see what I'm doing when I tell you that I'm changing whatever stuff on the brush, making it soft, and I'm going to change the opacity so it's quite low. And what I would like to see is some highlights on the upper sections of the muscle. So, oops. Oh, one moment, please. I knew there was something weird. I forgot in my tablet. Yeah. It's harder to do if you don't do it with the proper tools. Okay, let's see if this works as it should. Oh yeah, much better now. Oh. I need to make it less opaque. There you go. So just adding some highlights on these sections. Yeah, this should be. Much better now. So just on the upper facing parts of the muscle, so something like here on the elbow here, on the elbow. No, that's not the elbow, but you get what I'm trying to say. Something like that. You can add some in here, maybe not as much, and you can also keep on highlighting stuff like the arm here, all this part of the arm which will be hidden by the light. And if you feel brave, you can even pick up a source of light and try to make everything highlighted from that source. So if we suppose our sun is here, I'm going to paint a little sun here. This is where the light is coming from. We are going to try and do that. So we put this here, this like this will be like this. Like that. But yeah, I think this really needs one more highlight, personally, at least one more highlight to make the skin really pop out. Just like that. This come on, I need to find a word. Wait a minute. Oh my god, I can't believe I don't know how to say that word. Oh yeah, shoulder, of course. I'm an idiot. Sorry. So we have chosen that source of light, and this now is starting to look really, really, really nice. We can of course add that to the legs and stuff like that. But from the waist down, it's really not that important. Really not that crucial. A bit more highlight, of course, is always nice. As I said before, always focusing on the upper sections of the muscle. So instead of doing it here, just right against the edge of the muscle there. Maybe down here as well, and on the knee a little bit. So you can really see the difference of that highlight made. And you don't need to choose one light source and just keep up with it. But I think it's a nice touch, and why not? Since this is a Marvel Mini, it kind of fits the style. And you can see the difference with one more highlight, especially with the yellow added, really adds a lot of pop into the Mini. We can keep on highlighting this, but I don't think it's necessary. For Mark, I think this is a good compromise. Just one extra highlight, and then we're going to take a flesh tone. And I like to add a little bit of fleshy colors into the usual. I know Hulk and She-Hulk in this case don't really have that thing that they are doing now with Games Workshop with the Orcs, with the where they just add a bit of skin on the elbows and the knuckles and stuff like that. But why not add a little touch of color? So we're going to take a kind of a burgundy, magenta dark color, something like that. So in the hue of Screamer Pink, the new Sigval Burgundy, thinned down, you can use something like Carbo Crimson, for example, in that kind of vein. And we are going to turn this down into very thin glaze, and you can add this onto stuff like the shoulders, like the elbows. Oh, shoulder, God, for God's sake, like the elbows, like the knees. It should be very subtle. You should have a hint of red on those places, but not much else. You can see it's not much. You can add a little bit onto the face, especially underneath the cheeks, maybe a little bit of nose, ears, stuff like that. Just a very subtle touch, and you can see maybe that was a bit too strong underneath the cheek, but you get the idea. Let's see if I can. There you go. We can bring it back. We can do this with Photoshop. We can't do this with a paintbrush, sadly, but that's the basic idea. You see the difference. Just add a bit of color, add a bit of light, and if you are using that, we can also highlight the hair a little bit more. Of course. Let me just grab this color, and we are going to up the yellow. If you are going to do that, it's a good idea to keep on using that yellow mix into the highlights, just to add a bit. And you can see that, funny enough, he has taken this with one source of light. You can see the light reflecting here on her hair. So we are going to use that as our template. Need a bit more now. So emphasizing that here, adding a little bit of yellow onto that green, maybe something like dawn yellow, maybe something like ice yellow, of course, that also works well. It's basically the same color, by the way, if you were ever wondering. There you go. Some more highlights on the hair. Like that. So yeah, basically working on the skin. You can do the same with the muscles and so on and so forth, but the general gist, idea that you want to take out here is, I will highlight the skin a little bit more. I would add some hue, some subtle red undertones on the part that you will have red undertones on your own skin. Very subtle, because of course Hulk doesn't really have those, but I think it adds a nice touch myself, as a personal touch. And you can yeah, I would just work on the skin and the hair so we can make it a more attractive. She is already attractive. It is a great painted mini, but a more pleasing to the eyes, a more with that extra light coming in, it really helps conveying the sense of a superhero, kind of, especially if you do that dramatic light that I painted here. But again, fantastic job, Mark. It was really, really nice. And the next one from Mark will be the last one, so stay tuned if you want to see one more mini from Mark. Let's move on to the second one. This is Paul. And Paul, here we're having a very nice, very, very nice French, I think, oh yeah, of course he is French, a French cavalryman from the, guessing the Napoleonic War period. Sorry, I'm not a history buff, but yeah, a really nice Frenchman here. And my only concern is he's really nice, nicely painted. The uniform looks amazing with all those markings and everything. Little touches of freehand, like you can see here, which is amazing. A really nice touch. And here, that attention to do. I really love the attention to detail that historical painters put into the minis, because it really shows, and it's really worth it. especially for this kind of minis. So great job there, Paul. And the only thing that's really concerning me a little bit is that the horse is black, and the leather straps on the horse are black and in the same exact color as the rest of the horse. The hair is in the exact same color as the rest of the horse and the straps, so it's kind of a big blob of black, of a semi-black, which also can be confused with the leather boots here. So what I will do is I will just keep the straps this kind of coldish looking leather like the boots, and then I will try to add a little bit of browns into the horse, because black horses, I think they're a little bit brown. Let me just check if we can find some images here that are going to help us out. So what are we? Look for black horses. Okay. Well, I can't see some. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, this is a good example here. Well, sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. There you go. You can. I don't know if you can see that well. I hope you can see that well. Let me just put it. Okay. Let me just put it here. So you can see that even a normal black horse, he does have some browns as a kind of subtle. They're never pure black. They are always like a very, very dark brown. So I think I would introduce something like that onto our horse. And you can do this now, basically, at how it is. I would probably have chosen some kind of neutral or even a little bit warm grays to highlight the horse, but that's secondary. We can take something like rhinox hide, something like that. I think it would be not, appropriate, and just use this to subtly shade, like a weird shade, because it's lighter than the black surrounding it, but just glaze it onto the shadows, onto the very deepest shadows of the horse, like kind of that brown reflecting away. And you can tell it's super subtle, but that little touch of brown is already giving us a lot of separation between the leather straps and the horse body. Look at that, from this to this, subtle, but there, and very important. And do some more washes with this brown, especially towards where the reins meet the normal horse body. That will help us differentiate the body from the reins, and also give us a bit more realistic looking horse. I know realism might not be what you are most people are looking for when they are painting, but with historical minis, I think it's appropriate. And maybe you don't want to touch this nice chap back, but I think it's a good idea to do that little subtle touch on him, seeing that he is like an important guy with the banner and everything. Another thing that I want to touch on is on his face. I know painting faces is hard, and I know these historical minis, they are tiny to begin with, and also the sculpts are not the best. So we sometimes have to encourage we have to modify the faces with paint. And let me look for an example. Let me show you a little example of that here. We are taking this kind of mid-tone, looks like something like Cadian flesh tone, and we can paint it here, eliminate that ridge here, which I don't really think it's very well sculpted, also around this very dark area here, and just that much smooths out a bit of this harsh sculpt, and I think it creates a nice looking, nicer looking face. And we can keep on right there. Okay, there. We can add a regain that highlight there, and even that much is enough to make the face look a little bit better. From this, I know that is probably in the sculpt, this thing here, but it really doesn't look natural. So just adding that extra touch, I think it's all this mini needs to really stand out. By the way, he even sent me a picture of the whole unit, which I'm not going to send because I don't have. I mean, I would love to, but we don't have the time. I'd rather move on. And it's an amazing looking mini. Just adding these little brown touches on the horse skin, and maybe smoothing out the face just a little bit. It's not much. We're not going to modify the face very much. Just trying to make those features a bit more natural. Which sometimes the sculpts are not helping us, and I think this is the case here. But again, extremely lovely mini. Great job, Paul. You did very well indeed. I know it's not a lot of feedback, but you know that the rest is pretty much spot on. What I don't really have anything extra to say about the rest of the standard beer himself. So nice job there. Great looking unit, as I said before. Let's move into the third one. This is from Tom. And this is for the painting competition of old school minis. And let me just say that the old Escher gang from Necromunda has always been one of my absolutely favorite minis of all time. And things I love about Tom's paint job is, first of all, the weathered leather. It's really nice. It really looks like heavily worn leather, which fits this mini amazingly well. I really like the smooth yellows, very smooth, very nice, very vibrant. I really like the black leather, and I also really like the touches of red on the elbows, and you know, a subtle touch of red really makes the skin tone looks fantastic. But I think we can do a bit more of that, because although you have added it, and I can see it even here as well a little bit, I think you can emphasize it a little bit more on the face, especially on the lower lip, and especially with a female model. We can take a bit more of aggressive approach than we can probably do with a male, which might not be what you want. So I totally respect that, but this is what I would do. So a very thin glaze of the same things as we talk, you know, Carabao Crimson, Sigval Burgundy, which is amazing, by the way. We're going to emphasize here on the sides of the lips, the lip a little bit, and we can then go back to this extreme highlight on the skin. Oops, let me just do this manually. There you go. And add a little touch on the middle of the lip. I need more opacity now. Just like that. And you can also try to define the lower lip a little bit better, which might have been my fault, because I might have gone over the natural shading that was there with my glazing, but just to, so you can see the effect I'm going for, just like that. From this to this, I think it's a good change. And I will also add this sort of pinky hues on the nose. I really like to do that. I say that in every single video. Just roll this back. So just a little bit more on the nose. Tiny touch. Then we can go back and try to do a small line in the middle of the nose, so we can, because again, old sculpts are not really very cooperative, so we can try to make her nose a little bit pointier if we do that central highlight as thin as possible. Let me just go back and redefine the shadows as I did before, because again, I have messed them up with my glazing. It was totally my fault. There you go. You can see the slight difference that it makes, but I think it's a good idea. Also, one thing that I would like to see, you have this glowy looking eyepiece here, and I think we can take advantage of that and make the surrounding looking like, well, that is glowing. Let me just grab this. You can glaze the dark blue, as I'm doing here, all around the eyepiece, the inside of the eyepiece here, that inside ridge, and then you can take this and, oh, sorry about that, let me just try that again with a smaller size brush. And this, I know this is cheating, but also a nice eye. I like that. You can try to make a highlight on the inside here, just like this. And then you can probably highlight this a little bit more. You can probably move into almost pure white. Just like that. You know what? I think this is too small. I think you may want to make this a bit bigger. There you go. I'm now happier than before. Just like that. I think that's a good touch. I think it really helps. You can add a bit more of this blue and in places like this side here of the braid, and a little bit on the cheek there, maybe a little bit on this side of the nose if you feel brave. Stuff like that will help sell that OSL. Something like that. I know it's subtle, but I think it's a good touch. If you feel brave, this is a kind of a brave thing. But this is the kind of things you do for painting competitions. So, you know. Let me see what else we can look and do. Yeah, I was looking at that before when I downloaded the images. The braids, although nicely highlighted, and they're very hard to highlight, I don't think they're highlighted in the correct way. What I would have done is highlight them in a zenithal way. Let me just have this first highlight color. Let me just correct this. So, oops. Okay, so what I would have done is, please tell me that the audio is working. Yeah, the audio is working. So I'm paranoid. Once it didn't work, I will try to highlight each of these sections of the braid in a zenithal way. So picking up the top shape of the braid, so to say, like that. You can see the difference, especially from a distance. It will really makes it easier to read as a braid, just like that. That's a massive difference right there on the strand of hair there. The rest looks amazing. As I said, I really like it. Look at that worn leather. It's fantastic.
It's really, really great. You can also add a bloom effect on the hit bloom effect on the machine gun here. We can get some nice purple. It would be amazing for this. It will be something like the new Luxion purple or the new Leviathan purple. Oh, so good. And really, I'm so excited to start using them on my minis. And you can turn them into a glyph. You can also do this with inks. So we have the purple in this kind of area. And then we are going to take the blue. A very nice intense blue, which will go onto the tip, and I think then it's red and yellow, so we're going to take a nice red, and I know this is not realistic, okay, I know it's not realistic, but sometimes realism gets in the way of cool minis. Okay, a nice yellow there. Do you like that? You don't like that? Well, that's a bit of a taste kind of thing, but it could be a cool idea. And apart from that, nothing really. This is really cool. I would honestly rework the hair entirely. I know it's a pain in the ass. I know how painful it is. Just go in with the magnification and be very careful and take your time. It will be worth in the end to add those touches. I will add a bit more color into the lower lip, add a bit more color maybe into the cheeks and to the nose, and if you feel brave, add the oversell from the eye, but it's not necessary. And if you like the kind of hit bloomy thing, do it, and if you don't do it. And yeah, Tom, fantastic mini. Love the base. Love the whole mini. One of my favorite minis from Games Workshop ever. The whole old Escher band. It's so great job. Nice submission. Thank you very much. Let's move into the fourth one. This is Sam, and oh boy, look at that. Sam has been painting an entire Stormcast army using my NMM videos. It's just amazing. I really, really like it. He's getting better and better with each one that he paints. I talk about in previous minis that he submitted changes to the NMM. I wouldn't change anything. It looks fantastic. The face is impressive, a step up from the previous minis submitted. Very nice gradients. Look at that gradient there. That is creamy. And overall, great job. Things to correct. Well, you can see a little bit of grain on the paint here, on the pure whites. Be very careful with that. It's very easy to get that kind of grainy result, and I know it, but it is there. It's one of those things that you have to be careful with. Another thing that I will change is, I know it makes sense, but I've highlighted this in the same way as the plate underneath, and it does, but I think you will need to add a little bit of edge highlighting here. Oops. Just around this whole thing to define it a little bit better. There you go. Just like that. A very subtle thing, but it was bugging me. It just wasn't standing out in the right way, so to speak. I will probably also add a highlight on this edge, on this inside edge, all across the edge here. There you go, and on those small edges facing downwards. There you go. Just to make that hammer extra shiny. Look at the difference. There you go. So those small touches of highlights, also, now that I'm seeing it. Maybe because of that. This may be because of the picture, I admit it. Maybe that is highlighted and I can't see it due to the angle or something. But there you go. That's basically what I would do there. The rest is great. Things to work on. This, I mean, everything looks amazing, and then the parchment looks a bit... it looks like it could do with a little bit more work. And I think it's worth it, especially maybe not for a unit, but for a character. I think it makes sense. So taking something like Rhinox hide and just doing like a kind of a recessed shade on these letters here could be a nice idea. Let me turn down the opacity a little bit. Just defining this a bit more. You may be wanting to do them glowing. I've seen that before. It looks cool, but it's so much work. But just adding this extra bit of shading onto the bottom here. I want a bit more red. There you go. I think it makes a big difference. You can really tell it reads so much better from a long distance. There you go. And you can also add a bit more shading onto some parts of the parchment. Maybe something like scrag brown, thin down into a glaze. Just this, yeah, this is about the size. You can darken down some of these spots. This one, which is, there you go. Let me add a bit more opacity. I am impatient sometimes. Like here, emphasizing these folds. Stuff like that. You can go, whoops. And then going back and picking out the letters as we said with Rhinox or whatever you want to use. You know, whatever. Yeah, I think that helps. Especially everything is so shaded that adding that extra bit more shading onto the parchment helps unify everything, because one thing has a ton of contrast, the next thing doesn't have any. You know, a bit of a balance, of a balanced game. And you can maybe work on smoothing out the transitions here on the back. There. No, this is very easy to do with Photoshop. It's not as easy to do with your brush, but this is the kind of thing that I think that I know you can do, because I see it in the I can see it in the armor. So working on smoothing this out a little bit, making it a little bit smoother, it's going to help massively with the overall look of the mini and how it reads. There you go. That's it essentially. So from this to this, not much. Fantastic job. I really like it. The face is top notch. The armor is great, and the whole vibe of the mini, the color combination, everything is great. I'll just add a little bit more work on the things that are not NMM. That's all. Like things, small details. But yeah, great job, Sam. That was fantastic. And glad to see you back on the review. I really missed your minis. Let's move into the next one, which is another NMM, but a different sort of NMM. Look at that. This is Tim, and Tim has been killing it with the NMM. Like, literally, it's absolutely incredible the work that he's been doing. And this time he's adding a second source of light with that red from underneath, which looks amazing. Helps make everything extra, and just that extra. Again, not sure if this is a work in progress. Might be, might not be. I can't remember. I'm lazy. But yeah, look at that. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, very Richard Gray, very what's the other guy from that I follow on Instagram? I think it's NRM. Can be. I'm not sure. I'm going to look, because if I don't look, and then if I say his name wrong, I'm going to make him a disservice. Yeah, NRM Paint. His name is Nicholas Rubens Mortensen. He does this kind of stuff extremely well. He's an extremely talented painter. One of my favorites from Instagram. Each time I see something from him, I'm always amazed. And Tim is slowly but surely getting there very quickly. Things I would change. I wouldn't change anything on the gold. Anything. I maybe a bit more work, as I said, on the parchment and stuff like that. Again, I'm not sure if this is a work in progress. Could be, so take this with a grain of salt. If it is a work in progress, which Team does quite a lot, so that's why I'm saying it. And things I would add that I would really like to see here is some. This is a glowing hammer, and at least looks like a glowing hammer. It has glowing from the inside. That's the kind of vibe that he's going for, but we don't see that glowing anywhere. It's just the hammer. And this is kind of looks like if we have this sort of red glow from something that is outside of our a scene, I think we should have some blue glowing from something that it's in the scene. So I would probably take these same colors that you use to make the blue, the blue glow on the hammer. Just add them onto the armor. Again, this is metal, so metal will reflect things very intensely, but very narrowly. So I probably add a touches of. No, I don't like that one. It wouldn't be reflecting there very much at all, but it will be here. It will be here. Maybe a touch on the corner there, and it most definitely would be there, and it most definitely would be picking up some edges here and a little bit of blue on places like that, and maybe there, and of course on the spikes here, on the stop ridge here, and maybe on these edges, and some of the blue reflecting on this side there, some fingers maybe, something like that. And it's not much, but I think it really helps, and we can get into this. So this now depends on how polished your armor would be, but if it's, he's a Stormcast after all, so let me make this a bit smaller. Okay. Maybe as this is gold, maybe move into the teal territories here. And add this extreme teal highlight. Something on this vein, because it kind of, I think, kind of makes sense if you get what I'm saying. And another thing I would like to see is the same thing done on the eyes. I think that's the idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. So taking that dark blue, putting on the eye and glazing something around, and then just moving into the whites, almost whites. Let's make this small. work smart, not hard. Something like this, and like this. Okay, and some OSL onto the face. Back of the nose here, inside of the nose there. Something like that. I think that would be cool. I think that's the idea that Tim has here. I think he's going to do it. But yeah, that would be my advice. Apart from that, the gold is pretty much perfect, but the steel here on the scales still, I think, still needs a little bit something. So I'm going to take this gray, and what I would do, first of all, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, is this scale should be reflecting something from these scales on top. So something like this. You can even introduce some of the tones of the gold. These kind of places like this. Just like that. Or we can maybe add them like this. Yeah, kind of like that. There you go. So yeah, that's basically it. And you can see the difference from what he has done, which is amazing. The slight corrections with this blue. I really, really think he needs this touches of oversell on this side. And he needs the glowing eyes, and I think those extra reflections on these scales are never a bad idea. But again, finish the parchment and he will be amazing. And here for a glorious close-ups, and you can see all the nice texture that he's doing. Fantastic job, Tim. It's pretty much incredible. So let's move into the sixth submission. This is Andy, and Andy has been following Infernal Brush tutorials to paint this very nice looking Oak Boy. The only thing I'm missing is a slight more of separation between some of the elements, because the boy himself, from a playing distance, something like this, looks amazing. It's like pretty nice. But if you want some tips, my tips will be takes a dark color, something like Rhinox. I know I always talk about Rhinox. Rhinox is amazing, one of the best colors made by Games Workshop by far. And I will add just a little bit more separation. Look at this. Just adding this between the lower lip and the teeth. So we have a clear line of separation between those elements. Same goes for the eyes. I think the eyes need a bit more definition. So I would paint them with a very dark color first, something like Rhinox, or even black. You can use black for orcs. And then go and get a nice red. And just paint the eyes with it. There you go. And there you go. You can tell the difference immediately from this to this. This is what you want. You want definition, especially for the heavy metal style. Everything has to be very neatly and precisely defined, and this kind of dark lining helps a lot with this, especially in areas that are full of detail, like there. Apart from that, you have these final highlight, which I think would be something like, you're going to pick up this color here, and you can oops, that's not it. Okay, this color here. You can maybe add a final highlight on the top ridges of the muscles, just like this. You see that here? And don't be shy, you can add one there in the shadow. Go and look of pictures of bodybuilders, you will see this quite a lot. I will move this highlight to be up to the very recess, up to there. I think for this should be there, this should be there. You can add this highlight on the shadows, and look at how much of a difference it makes on the arm from there to there. Zenithal highlights on the muscles help a lot. I know these. The heavy metal team is just starting to do this. It's not doing it fully, but it's starting to move into this direction, which I really appreciate. Same here, some highlights on the tops there, and maybe a small one on the bottom. But yeah, don't be afraid of pushing your highlights on the muscles to a point where you think a shadow should be, because most surely it's going to look fine if you follow a zenithal process there. But yeah, I think for the boys, especially for a unit, maybe this is a bit extra, but working on the definition on the features I think is important. So using a dark color, you can base coat it with a dark color, and you can just line it with a dark color before doing your main base coats. It's going to help a lot with definition and reading the minis from a long distance, which is essentially what you want to do. Same goes for the nails as well. So painting them first with a very dark color and then doing the base coat with a light color will help you achieving all those things. But you did a lot of things well, like the fleshy tones around the mouth and the ears and the elbows. I can see it a little bit peeking there, and you can see it more in the 360 in the other pictures that he sent, but of course we only do one picture. But this being a boy, and you are going to have to paint a lot of boys, this is fantastic. So work on detailed definition and you will be golden. Thank you very much, Andy, for your submission. Let's move into the next one, which is Carlos. And Carlos has submitted I was going to make a joke and I forgot. I was going to say hello there, and I forgot. I had it as easy as can be, and I missed it. Just the best for you guys. Okay, let's move into General Kenobi here. The picture is a bit blurry. He knows that. He tried to do it with the phone and with the camera, and this was the best that he could do. You know, sometimes things happen, but I think we can see enough here that, well, we can work with. And I think this face looks fantastic. It's probably the best face Carlos has painted on his own, and he's added, I think there's a little bit of blue on the hair and the face, which is great. I would probably, because I can see that the face is warm here and it's a bit colder here, it's not a bad idea, but for the next time I will probably kept the warm tones. Let me see if I can work something here. I would probably have kept the warm tones on the whole of the face. Oh, crap. Oh, too big. Yeah, much better. Oh yeah. Let me just redo parts of his face so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, the warm tones on everything that is facing upwards. I just painted his beard a little bit blue, and then you can exaggerate the blue on the underneath it, on the undersides where it's facing
the saber, something like that. If you see what I mean. So from this, which is like a general glaze of blue on that side, onto this, which is more dramatic. So you have the upper facing surfaces of the face warm, and an extreme blue OSL on the bottom surfaces, which are facing the lightsaber directly. I know this is not, but you said this in your email, so you know this. This is not realistic, but it just looks cool. And sometimes for minis, you have to go for cool instead of for realistic. And I think this is one of these instances. So that will be my main advice here, because I really like the OSL you did on the armor. I think this looks perfect. And if you watch the latest, the Obi-Wan series, which I love personally, and they are now using real lightsaber, well, not real lightsaber, but real light emitting swords when they are filming the fights, and it's so intensely blue and red. Really makes for a super cool thing. I think you should go for that kind of aesthetic more than a realistic one. I think it's a great idea. And again, as I said, with the Stormtroopers, smoothing out this, blending out this weathering, I think it's a good idea, you know. So it's not harsh line on all the surfaces, but again, just because mud, I like that fade more than and you can be a bit more aggressive on his hanging thingy here. You can add some dots and again more aggressive. You can a little bit more aggressive there. And he had some issues with the spray. He used white spray on the outside, which is usually a big problem. When I'm spraying, you can spray black and other colors. They're going to work fine on the outside. But if you're going to spray white, I have a mask and I have good ventilation that I can turn on afterwards, and I just prefer to do it on the inside. Always warm your can. Very important. You can skip it with other colors, but with white is a must. Warm your can nicely so it feels hot to the touch. Please don't put it into boiling water. Don't be an asshole, because you're going to either you're going to die, you're going to be injured, or you're going to redecorate your whole kitchen. But extreme redecoration. But I will advise you to heat it up in warm, hot water. You should be able to put your hand into the water, but about 45 degrees, something in that sort of vein. So the whole can is nice and warm. Shake it very well. Apply fast passes close to the minis, and should be nice and golden, and you shouldn't have any speckling, any texture issues. But that's my main advice. And for the rest of the mini, I don't really have much to say. The freehand looks great. Everything, I really like it. Maybe you can highlight a little bit more with this warm white this side. Maybe it's because of the picture, but I would have liked a little bit more of highlighting there as well as some folds here. But all in all, this looks great. There you go. Maybe something like this, something like that. But the main advice is, if you're going to be unrealistic and dramatic with the OSL, be as much grab that and make it your own. Make it very unrealistic, but very cool and very dramatic. So this would be my main advice here. But great job, Carlos. It was a fantastic submission, and you're getting better and better with each one, which is something that I really like to see. If you want to see that progression, go back to the very first review, the very first real Retinue review, and Carlos, you will see
the first submission that Carlos did. He's been here since the very beginning. It was a Tau Crisis suit, I still remember, and you will see the amazing difference that and progression that he's had since that moment. So let's move into the next one. Thank you, Carlos. That was amazing. And you see this very cool looking model, and I know you're going to ask where this model is from, and I'm going to tell you, you can't buy it. This model is being sculpted by Christian himself. Oh yeah, this is pretty incredible. As a sculptor myself, I think this is great. Musculature, well, that is a matter of taste, but I get what he's going from. The skull here is from the skull set. I think the hands are from a set as well. They are not sculpted. I can't remember. I spent, and the skull here inside of the chest is also from the skull set. But the rest of the model is hand sculpted and looks amazing. And he's asking for feedback on him. Again, we've seen a lot of this Undead Blood Bowl team minis in past episodes. You can go and watch them. I can't tell you which ones, but yeah, they are there. And I see some of the nice weathering that I've been talking about, some texturing with paint on the flat surfaces of the shoulder pads, which we also talk about. So great to see him incorporating those details here. And this is the kind of OSL I was talking when talking about the Escher model, if you remember, from Tom. So this is the kind of thing that I would like to see on the eyes. Really well done by Christian here. He's asking about this. I think he mentions the skin on his email, and I can see some very nice hues, some greens here and there picking out in some places. What I would do personally is take this green. Just grab a nice green, and I would take this green and just run with it. If you're going to add greens, I would add a lot of greens. I will just take a dark green, sort of like that, and I will make a thin glaze and just glaze this green into not all the recesses, but a lot. I will add this as like secondary skin color, like underneath all of this blue. I will add more green, a lot of green everywhere. So I think it helps making him distinct, especially from the pants. You can see that the pants and the skin are similar. If we add more green, this is the same thing we talk about with Paul's horse from the Frenchman, and yes, adding more green. You may think that it's going to be too much, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be too much. I think it's going to be just fine. Those greens combine really, really well with the purple undertones on the skin. They work really well with the cold, very cold violets and blues, and you can lean in so much into this green without it looking weird. You can see painters like Juanhidalgo doing this a lot. He even told me once that he does this when he doesn't know what to paint something. He just add colors everywhere, like opaque washes with the random colors, of turquoises and pinks and stuff like that. Just throw it in there, and it really looks good. You can see I added a lot of green from this to this, and it doesn't look bad. I don't think it does. It looks bad. There's not much I can tell about the rest because I really like it. So, oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. I think the eyes of the skull should be glowing. That was my other concern, because the nose is glowing, but the eyes aren't. And I think the eyes should be glowing. just like the nose. Just like that. Maybe add a bit more of this glow and places like that. But yeah, that was my main concern. I really like how the nose is glowing, but I couldn't see it onto the final onto the eyes, and it was bothering me a little bit, just a little bit. There you go. Now we're talking. Okay, so that's the only two things. You know, it's not much, because, but you are really, that's the issue when you find a painter that has developed its own style and has been painting basically not the same things, but he's been painting this on that team for a while now, so he has really perfected everything. The red is really good, the skin is really good, the cloth is really good, the bone is fantastic, the OSL is great. So there's not much I can say, because it's extremely well perfected. But I will add some greens to the skin. I will add the more OSL into the skull so we can see it more. And that's basically it. The sculpt is fantastic. Looks proper. It doesn't look realistic, but it's an undead thing with a skull forehead and massive shoulders, shoulder pads, and it's playing rugby. So realistic. It's out of the window right now. Thank you, Christian, for your information. I really hope that was useful. And we have, let me just crop this so we don't have that much white showing. So we have this Night Dwarf lady here, and this is another showpiece. So this should be painted for a nice display standard, and he's asking for some advice. I could make the easy joke and say, well, the best thing you can do is paint an elf, but that's not worth it. So this is a bit unhelpful, so we're going to move into the advice. So first of all, you can see you've missed the eye with the white a little bit there. So going back with this dark brown and fixing this just carefully. There you go. And then you can go back. You have our highlighted skin tone here, which is a tanned sort of thing, but you can add a little bit more light. And I would personally. I would pick up the very top of the nose. I would pick up the sides of the nose. I would pick up a little bit of the upper sections of the cheeks. So, something like this. And I will also pick up a bit. She has really big lips, so you can add this highlight onto the lips as well. Maybe not onto the top one. I don't like that at all. Let me just. I can just erase it now because I've been careful. Oops. Whoa. There you go. I don't like that, but I do like a little highlight onto the bottom lip. You can see it there. That touch of highlight, you don't need to do it on the hands, just on her face really helps. Another thing that I really like her hair. That's fantastic, and I like the gem. That is pretty good. You can maybe go, let me just move, this is the green. You can move into a lighter green, something like this, for the very edge here. Just there you go. That's it. You did all the hard work. Now you just have to add a little touch, like that, little touch. The only thing that is bugging me, and it's the only thing, the rest is great. The glove looks fantastic. I like the horns. I like the wood. I like the hair. I like the axe a lot. That's great. A great use of the of my TMM video. Fantastic. Is that I feel like the background of the shield shouldn't have this sort of highlights. So what I would do what I would do with the background of the shield is just do a gradient from light to dark. That's what I would do. So I would erase all of this. All of these lines, which I think they are a bit distracting. I would just get a nice base coat of the base yellow that you used here. I don't know which one it was, probably Avalanche Sunset. Just a bit more opacity. Otherwise I'm going to die here trying to do this. Okay. Like this. And then you grab this the darkest color, so something like this. Now I need to reduce the opacity quite a lot so I can make a smooth gradient. And you just make a gradient before painting any of the details. A bit more. Oh, come on. You just start making a gradient from light to dark. Bit more orange. Give me a bit more orange. There you go. Just like that. And then I will pick my highlight yellows and just touch the top of the shield like this. This would be my change. I really feel like the other I don't like this. I think this would be better, and maybe for the next one you should just paint that gradient first, forget about all the details, paint on top, and then you just pick out those details with a dark color and just paint them. Try that. I think you're going to like it. Just add the final highlight. There you go. Very nice. Very dwarfy. There you go. That's my main advice there, and I think it's the right, because I really like the rest of the this dwarf lady. The issue with dwarfs is there isn't really that much to paint on them. They are basically a little bit of skin, a lot of hair, a little bit of cloth, a lot of metal, and a shield. So there's not much I can really tell you, but I like her face. Just correct the eye, add a bit more highlights just onto the face, and change the background of the shield. That would be my personal advice. I love the hair. I think you use my recipe for blonde hair. It's a bit of a shame because I may have to. It may not work as well with the new shades because I was relying on the tinting, but it might do. I have to do some tests. But yeah, that would be my personal advice here. The rest is really beautiful. I really like the back part of her. You did a good job there. Yeah, that would be my advice. Nice tan skin tone too, by the way. Let's move into the last one. This is what I've called, and you can see it here, Mark II Space Viking Boogaloo. And this is a tabletop level space wolf. He hasn't written anything onto the image, just the picture. But I think this is a tabletop style mini. It looks really good. It looks clean enough. All the details, you can tell all the details apart from the distance. That's what you want from a tabletop mini. That's what you want for an army. Good enough is good enough. The only thing I would change is I would paint his belt, which is actually a belt, not made out of armor like the old ones. I will paint it brown. Just this detail here. You can probably just do a glaze with some contrast paints on top like that. It's going to look good already. You can probably add some browns into the armor. Have you seen? You need to watch, not watch because it's not a video, but you need to see the latest post by Darren Latham on his Instagram. Of course, if you watch this a month after it's published, it's not going to mean anything. But it's a 30k Space Wolf, and he has described how he painted it, which I think was very clever. And he uses the new Reclam Flesh shade to do washes around the feet. And I would probably add some browns into the recesses. I think I would personally add some browns into the recesses. And I'm going to showcase that. You can just do a wash with something like what's the name of the what it used to be Bestial Brown. I think it's Mournfang Brown now. And you can just take that Mournfang Brown and just wash it around the recesses, stuff like that. On the armor, I think Space Wolves, and on the feet, and then you can move into something like Rhinox hide and just do a small recess shade, a small wash of this dark brown into some of the recesses. I think Space Wolves lend themselves very, very well to have some warmth into the shadows of the armor. There you go. Also on the, I will probably do a wash on over all of this yellow. It's a bit flat, so it would take something like probably very orangey. So something like Fuigan Orange or something on those, on that vein. Or just make a wash out of something like Griffhound Orange, which is also a possibility. Just a wash over the whole thing. Or you feel brave, just a little glaze. So we have some definition there, and you should add some pack marks. I think that's the name they give them. It's just a triangle, but I think it helps. So I'm going to do it. I don't know. Is this the shoulder part that has the chapter symbol? Sorry. I know Space Wolves don't use the chapter symbol. I think they use like the, I don't know, they're different, like the company symbol, and then the other is the pack mark. I think that is, but whatever it is, it needs something on this shoulder part. So I'm not big on Space Wolves lore and heraldry, so forgive me about that, fellow Space Wolves aficionados, but I'm going to do my best. So if this is wrong, please excuse me. I know that the Blood Claws use red pack marks, and I think that the Grey Hunters, which this guy would be, use black marks over yellow. So I'm going to do that. Just adding some triangles here. Or whatever it is, I don't know. Again, I'm not the biggest Space Wolf fan out there. I used to play Dark Angels when I was a teenager. Something like that. I think that will help. It's not that difficult to do. You just have to be careful. So what I would do is, as I did here, I did the same process, but I'm going to do it over with white. So you can see how I would paint this. So what I would do is do a line in the center with the black. Or you can use a light color. If you watch my freehand video, I use Ulfu and Gray to plot out the freehand, then just go back with black and fill it. But you can do, this is so simple that you can just use black. I would do a white line there,
and I will find the center point between this white line and the edge of this of the shoulder pad, and I will put dot, see if it feels good, and then do another vertical line following this curve here. And once I have all my vertical lines done and patterned, I will just go from the top and draw a line up to the middle point between this, and then connect this with the corner of the shoulder pad here, and then just fill in everything. And it's now easier. Remember, when you're doing freehand, the easiest thing to do is a straight line top to bottom with your brush, from like a straight line. A vertical straight line is the easiest. Horizontal is very difficult. A straight is very vertical is very easy. So just try to do always vertical lines. That's the easiest way to get a nice straight line. And if you don't feel confident, and being yellow, you can use a white, or you can use something like with full and gray to pattern everything, and then just cover it with pure black. It's going to look awesome. But yeah, you can, on top of this, you can add small details that make a big difference to a basic model. So you have, if you watch Richard Gray's basic paint job videos, like he's done for the Imperial Fist and stuff like that, they are very basic, but he knows how to add elements that maybe make you go, wow, that's amazing, when it really is a pretty basic paint job. So we're going to take some orange, and you can add a touch of orange into the center. Oh, no. I forgot to turn the opacity down. We can add a little touch of orange into the middle of the eyes here, and then we can move into like super bright tone yellow territory, something like that, and just add a small dot, and that makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. This is, I think, it's super easy to do. It's very simple, and once you get the hang of it, it's going to look amazing on your models. They're going to make that little detail is going to make the whole thing stand out. But good job on drilling the bolter. Nice job, Mark. I really hope that was great. And now I can change your name in the Discord, because once I missed his review, I changed it for GW owes me a review, and I'm going to change it again for something fun. So let's move into the live stream again. So thank you guys for being there. Thank you all of my lovely patrons and members for the amazing submissions, and but most of all for the help that they do, for all the work they do helping me do all of this madness. And we have a lot of conversation here that I've missed, so let me go back and check it out and see what we have missed, if there's any problems. Mr. Fenix Korea says, is this a stream or a premiere? This is always a stream. I used to make 2 streams a month. One is the review, which is the one that I've kept even through hard months, and the other is the PAB, which I will be resuming this month. I'm going to make a PAB this month because I really feel like I've really missed it. I've done other live streams, like showcasing and answering questions, but I want to make like a pure PAB and get back that rolling again. But yeah, I do 2 live streams a month, and one is the review, and the other is the PAB, which is a Q&A session. So Jacob is asking, Hola Juan, I've started to paint the Curse City set following tutorials with amazing results. Do you think you will make more videos for the Curse City? Yes. I may have to make a disclaimer before every video. Yes, more Curse City videos will be coming. I want to finish the set, but it's going to take time because I have so many projects in line that I will get there. Please be patient. Timon said, did you want to say pauldron instead of shoulder? Yeah, I think I wanted to say pauldron.
Okay, so Mark has been watching while I was reviewing the She-Hulk, and it said it's giving him some good ideas about what to add to her. Nobody likes parchment. Yeah, Tim. Don't be lazy. Paint the parchment. Okay, so yeah, this Tim describing how he made that amazing NMM. My maker, have you considered throwing her away and painting an Ariel? Yeah, that was talking about the dwarf. Yeah, and he agrees with the painting the shield and, well, things like we don't have any more questions. So if you have any questions, this is the moment to do it. But if you seems like we don't have any more questions, so I may go back to my family and spend some time with them. So thank you all very much for being here. And remember, if you want your minis reviewed, the way to do it is subscribing to my Patreon or becoming a channel member on the tier many times or above, and each month you will be able to submit one mini for review, unless I forgot. In that case, you will have to the next month. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye.